So we had the guy put the wall in, and all he does is install the sheetrock wall. So we're left with putting the mud in and finishing it. So that's not a big deal, but I would rather have paid someone to get it done, and then I wouldn't have to get my hands dirty and worry about it, right? So today we're filling up the crack between the two pieces of sheetrock. What we have to do is we have to put the putty, it's not putty, but whatever, put the goo in it, then put the fiberglass, I think is mesh, and it has a little bit of stickiness on the back, so you could put it directly on, but directly on, you know, it's better if you put some of the glue down and then skim across the top to get it finished. Tomorrow, or Monday rather, 2 days, we'll come and sand everything down. We're covering up the screw holes here, the screw heads, and the wall. We don't want it to look really pretty, but we want it to look like we kind of knew what we were doing. Mm-hmm. So this over here, I had to buy a cheese, I guess it's a bread shredder. It's on every one of the little cheese grater things. It's the side with that looks like somebody poked a nail through it a whole bunch of times.
Oh, really small, huh?
It's really rough, and what that's for is shredding dried bread to make breadcrumbs. Okay, so we use that on sheetrock, and it just shreds. This edge was a little bit too high; it didn't meet right, so we just shaved it off with that thing, and it takes it right down. There's two different edges that have to have it even like this. It's an outside counter, and what we do is the same thing we did with the tape there, we put one of these on each corner. It's a piece of metal that gets hidden down in the mud, the glue, and you won't even see it unless you see this top edge right there on the wall.
So it covers the corners and protects them.
It covers the corner, it kind of holds them together, it puts a piece of metal there that kind of protects the corner. It's meant to give it a little substance there, so if you ding it, it doesn't break a hole in the sheetrock. Uh-huh. And that'll go on the same way. You put a little bit of mud down, you set it in there, you push it down in, you skim the stuff over the top. Mm-hmm. So we have a little more to do.
Yeah.
A couple of walls on the inside also.
And it looks like you put the foam there around the door frame.
The foam I put on the door frame, yeah. I put in way too much. It's really expanding foam. Uh-huh. It'll dry, and then we'll cut off the excess even, and it'll be done. Uh-huh. The problem is I bought a can of it, and it's all we needed was just a little bit of foam out of it. So, you know, it's kind of wasteful, but what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I can't buy just a small
thing, and it's going to go bad after a while.
Yeah. It's a one-shot thing, and it is so sticky. I got some on me, and I didn't get the cleaner. Cleaner stuff takes it all right off. So this is like on there for days unless I get home and get some cleaning.
And so if we walk through the door, this is our kitchen area. We'll have the fridge and the freezer, and then over here we'll have the big soup pot and the stove and some tables, and then the dishwashing. So you can see where the foam came through the doorway, and back behind Mark, he's done a lot of the screw heads, and he'll have to go back and do the seams. So,
the guy
Dima
that
and Yura.
installed this door, he was going to let it just put a screw through into the metal to keep it kind of in place, spray the foam behind it. But that is not enough for me. I got to do the American variation where we put metal, and not metal, wood pieces between the frame of the door and the metal here, and then you screw a screw through it, through the wood, to hold it there. That way the screw is binding down on it, and it's not going to flop around. Mm-hmm. This foam is pretty sturdy after it sets up, but I don't think it's going to be sturdy, you know, for like if there's a nuclear weapon going off or something. I mean, that's how I like to build things, strong. You know, and why do it any other way? If it breaks apart in a couple months or a year, it's like, why fix it that way? It's got to be strong.
Yeah.
So we just happened to have the right thickness of wood to stick 2 pieces in there, and it was perfect measurement. He didn't plan it that way, it just ended up that way, thank you God.
And the guy who did the walls is our graduated client, Yura, who's a member of our church and who got married about a year ago.
Yeah, he got married about a year ago. He told me that his wife wants to make sure that he brings home money. And I said, well, that's how it should be.
Yeah. He's just a really sweet guy. Yeah, it's kind of hard for him to ask that. So next week, our stove will be delivered, and we're going to run it off of propane because there's no gas here. We've got every other utility but that, but the propane will work.
The stove goes right here. The soup pot will be down there once it comes in, but the stove right here. Why on this side? Well, because the soup pot needs a sewer, and it needs water to fill it up. Both of those are over here on this side. I would have liked to have put it over there with a vent above that sucks out the gases and exhaust and everything, but there's no water, no sewer over there. So the soup pot can't go over there. The stove here, it needs water for filling up the soup pot, the soup if we're going to cook.
Like we have at home, yeah.
Right, for macaroni, for, potatoes to boil in. It needs a source of water that we can just take and fill it up.
And not from just a sink, which takes forever.
Right, so we need water. The oven stove doesn't really need a sewer, but the soup pot does. If you keep coming around this way, we're going to have a dishwashing station over here, commercial dishwasher, that will wash the stuff, the dishes with really hot water in like 5 or 10 minutes. 5 minutes. I think.
5 minutes, yeah.
It gets the water really hot. It cooks the stuff clean, and it's so hot when it comes out that within a few minutes it's dry. So there'll be little time with the towel drying stuff off. So that's going to be across here. A little table, the washing machine, and then a little table. So you set it up, you slide it in, you slide it out.
Actually, I think it's like a little sink where you spray the stuff off and then you...
It is, but the square basket sits over the sink, so you spray it off right above the sink and then it goes down.
Yeah, so you can see here where the hot water and the cold water is, so we'll just extend that. It's all cold?
Cold.
Oh, okay.
They had a hose here, and they had a hose that was tightened on this valve. It's a different kind of valve. It's a hose setup. This was just a hose kind of on in like a garden hose.
So basically we can use this same line here and take it around and feed, and that's one reason. And you can see from here, the depth to here, that the floor is sloping to clean. So one of the things you had to consider was where the water and sewer is on the washing machine, that we have enough of an angle to go through in there, through that little grate, to the sewer.
Right. Well, the sewer in that other room is on the ground. And then they have a fitting that comes up, and it's probably 6 inches up from the floor. So this slope here is not going to be a problem.
Yeah. That's a vent for the cellar that's underneath, the business that's underneath us.
This is the business underneath, and they were painting the other night when Uri was here building this wall, and he said the fumes were coming up in here because they had the vent on. If that continues to happen, I am going to complain, because there's no reason why we have to have their vent in here. I don't mind working around it or over it, but if it becomes a problem, I don't want their gases in here.
Yeah.
So they can do the same thing I'm doing. Put a tube up and out.
Out, a vent out, yeah.
That's what we have to do for the stove and the soup pot. We're going to end up putting a hood over the top with a vent in it going straight out the wall.
And the landlord said we could put a round hole in the wall and it would just be patched up later with some of that metal. So that was one thing that we really appreciated, is he was willing to work with us really well. So here, like I said, is going to be the fridge, and then the freezer will go under this window. The trays. Yeah, we got 3 shelves. Mark wanted to make sure that they fit, and you're going to put a piece of wood across the top, I think, there, to give us even a higher level and to tie them together and to make them more stable. And of course we've got hooks here for our coats, my purse, you know, when we come in the winter. But one of the things I wanted to show you was the soup trays. Give me a second to pull them out. Ah, these are heavy. So this is our lunch tray. It's got a round place here, and we'll get really cheap plastic bowls for our soup. And we haven't used them in the past because you can't hold them in your hand. It's just too hot. It's very flimsy. But with this tray, it'll go there, and we'll be able to put, you know, slices of bread, spoon and napkin, you know, maybe their cup of tea or homemade juice, compote. But we can also end up putting salads, you know, cucumbers, tomatoes that we sometimes give out, maybe a little dessert. And so these trays is what we'll hand out, and we'll have to have someone at the door checking to make sure that these don't walk away. We got our first part of the order, 25 of them, and we've got 35 coming. So we'll have a total of 60, and we'll kind of see how it goes from there, because some of the pensioners that come, they bring their own kind of big mayonnaise buckets and take the soup home, and they don't necessarily eat here. But those, we're really excited that we were able to find those here in Ukraine, that we found one that had a circle. And they're much cheaper than the plastic ones, but they could be recycled, and that's why we're going to have to keep a close eye on them and make sure somebody's at the door with a small table, they have to give the tray. We'll check the bags, and it'll be part of their agreement of coming into our soup kitchen that we can check the bags on the way out to make sure these things don't walk away. But we've already brought a lot of our supplies here from what we had before, and we'll be buying, you know, more cups for the tea and spoons and napkins. We've got a place to store all of it, because at the house we just had the front veranda and it wasn't very big. But Mark's going to get some more of these shelves and put over on this side. We'll probably take down those hooks and just across here, depending on, you know, how much supply storage we need. So we'll have some big cans of beans for when we make borscht, and you know, different spices and stuff like that. We like to keep it on hand, so if we hit a thin point in our donations, that we can still continue on. So we kind of slowly buy them and store them up for, you know, a month or two, and it keeps us ready to feed all the time. So anyway, that's kind of an update. Let me come out of the storage room and show you our bathroom. One of the things Mark will have to think about down the road is how to change the squatty potty into an actual toilet. I've got a torn meniscus on my left knee right now, so it makes it really difficult to squat. We don't really need the shower, but we'll probably get a washing machine to place the one that was here, because it looked old and I didn't know if it worked. I'm probably going to do a curtain around that. We might replace the sink down the road. But this is a good place where we can wash all the towels and rags. But that washing machine is down the road. I'll be taking all that stuff home. Yeah, but the other thing about this is because it's a big hole, it doesn't really have that loop under like sinks that keeps the fumes from coming back in. So this room is a little potent. So we try and keep the door shut. But that's where all the sewer is and all that. So that's just an update on how things are going, and we'll share more later on.